Here I am at the Corvallis Transit Center. We've been here many times before, and today I'm going on a trip, and this is where we're starting. Not surprisingly, I'm back at the Albany station, waiting here, and I took a kind of early bus, and I'll be waiting here for 2 hours, but you know, I'm on this big trip. If I was at home, I would just be so anxious. So I'm just going to take a little walk, wait for another 90 minutes at this point, and enjoy the day. It looks like it's just about a perfect day right now. Usually I get my milkshakes when I'm waiting for a bus after getting off the train. Today I'm getting my milkshake after getting off a bus and waiting for the train. So I'm waiting for the point bus, the Amtrak Cascades bus, to come in from this direction. And that is scheduled to happen in 1 or 2 minutes, but each minute that passes by seems twice as long. So here's our point bus coming in. Taken it before, not much to say about it. This one only goes as far as Portland, and I'm putting down the camera because I am getting on this bus. And we are passing through Woodburn. I'm on the bus. This is I-5 in Woodburn on a bus. This is not the most exciting part of my trip, and I believe we are turning in here, and then we're just continuing on the way. So yeah, we're pulling off for the one of the Woodburn Transit Centers, and not much to say about that. Welcome to Woodburn. It's still a perfect day. This is the Tualatin Park and Ride. Also not very exciting. I just got off that point bus from Albany, and here I am in Union Station, and I'm going to be taking this advice very soon. We were about 5 minutes late getting in, and there's only a 30 minutes layover, so I'm just going to go in right and wait. I have no reason to walk around. I've been to Portland before, and instead I'm going to be getting on a Amtrak Cascades train going north in a couple minutes. I didn't get any shots from inside the train station because as soon as I got into Union Station we were already boarding, so I'm sitting on the Amtrak Cascades going north, and we haven't started yet, and I'm just looking over at the sidewalk where I've waited so many times to board the Flixbus. In fact, right there's some people waiting for a Flixbus. And as you can see, we are in motion right now, going pretty slow. All right, guys, have your tickets out when you come on. And I'm standing in line to get food, but while I'm doing that, we are crossing the Willamette River. There's the beautiful St. John's Bridge that way. We're crossing on a railroad bridge. So pretty soon we'll be crossing the Columbia River. Here's the Vancouver Amtrak station, and we've been here before. You can see there's a lot of people getting on. The observation car, this is an Amtrak Cascades. It's smaller than the observation car on like a long distance route. So I have a little bit more occluded of a view. As you can see, it's still a perfect day out there, and we're continuing north. So between Kelso and Centralia, the train goes through some wetlands, and there's flashes of river and stuff in between the trees before we go back into more settled places. And the train is going pretty fast. It's kind of rocking back and forth. There, like I said, there's a flash of water. The train's going back and forth, and we're making good speed. I'm on the train for a while, but we are making good speed. Well, we've just stopped in Centralia, and my camera is pointing out the wrong side of the train. The other side is the station in downtown. Centralia, the Amtrak Cascade stops, is actually one where you can get off and walk around. It's right next to downtown. Here, however, not much more to show. This is Centralia. Incidentally, there's been 3 stops since Portland: Vancouver, Kelso, now Centralia, and all of them have been like 2 minutes, even though I think a number of people have been really efficient loading and unloading the train. And gosh, this is a boring view of a warehouse. There's more of Centralia. If you look down there, you can see we have another rail, and I don't know if that's all along this way or if we just have a lot of sidings, but that is one reason why this train maybe gets interrupted less than other Amtrak trains. So we're coming into to Olympia, Lacey. A lot of Scotch broom out there. And as opposed to other stations, the Olympia station is not anywhere near Olympia. It's out in like Lacey. So it's like 10 miles away from downtown Olympia, which is too bad because downtown Olympia is a nice place. And actually, so in my mind, Olympia is the south end of the Puget Sound. And it's kind of close to Seattle, but from here, it's 5 o'clock as I'm coming in. Oh, actually, okay, so the station is on this side. That's good. And you can see this station's just kind of like out here. And so it's another 2 hours from here to Seattle. 2 hours until we leave Seattle. I think there's some cushion in Seattle. But it does take some time to go through the Puget Sound, to go through Tacoma and Tukwila and stuff. Anyway, and it's still really just afternoon here. And you can see there's some people getting on. So this is the Olympia Lacey station on the Amtrak Cascades. So here the train is following I-5. This is Fort Lewis. So we've kind of left the countryside and woods and trees and water. And it's just going to be following I-5 for a while as we enter the Taos Puget Sound area. And next stop is Tacoma. So we're at the south end of the Puget Sound, and that looks like a yard. Those trains aren't all waiting for passengers, but those are sounder trains, which are commuter rail trains. And I think Lakewood Station, which we just passed, is the final stop, and those go all the way up to Everett. And now we have some Scotch broom and more Tacoma. So we are leaving Tacoma Dome Station. 2 more stations before Seattle, and there'll be like a mini layover in Seattle before I continue north. Ooh, spoilers. So this is Tacoma. Mixed story, which I can't really explain in the short time it takes to go by. I will say something about this trip personally for me. This is the first time since 2015 that I've been north of the Vancouver area. I went to Kelso Longview in 2020, but haven't been to the Seattle area since 2015. Actually, was visiting my grandmother right before she passed away. And then I will be going north of Seattle, and that's the first time I've done that since 2008. And a lot of the places I'm going will be places I've only seen once or twice, or not at all. And it's interesting because I was born in Washington, and I've lived a lot of my life in Washington, and in a lot of ways Seattle is a lot like Portland, so I feel I'm kind of familiar with it. But this is all also really new to me, so it's been an interesting ride. And I know right now the part I'm showing might not be the most interesting, but hopefully it's interesting to view this, and there will be more. Oh yes. Right now we're just a mile or two outside of downtown Tacoma, but we're kind of going through a wetland patch, and then we're probably going to be following the freeway some more. So there are many sides to Tacoma, including this. Considering we're going through a more populated place here, we're going really quick, and they must have all this signal priority and stuff working really well. 45 minutes to Seattle from here by our schedule. Looks like we might get there early even. Sun's coming in from an angle. This is also something that I've noticed more in Seattle area than maybe in Portland, because Seattle is a bigger logistics center. A lot of warehouses and a lot of trucks, a lot of major distribution centers around here, more than I would see in like Portland. I mean, Portland does have some warehouse districts, but not quite like this. And this is the Green River area. This is a mixed retail and industrial and distribution center. And through here, we're passing through some train stations. This is Auburn, and these are sounder stops, but the Cascades does not stop here. And kind of comparable, like, in the San Francisco Bay Area, there's places where the Capitol Corridor will stop, but the Coast Starlight will not, for example. We are also pretty close to the former site of the Spanish Castle. In fact, from here, it would take about a half a day to get there if you traveled by Dragonfly. And the light is still washing out my shots. Right now, we are going to Tukwila, and if you know, you know. Right there, there's a nice preserved wetland in an urban area, and it's warm now, but in Seattle, like in Portland, it's been a wet, spring, so still a lot of water. So this is a stop for the Sounder, for the Cascades, but of course not for the Coast Starlight. Tukwila, where we just left, is the stop closest to the SeaTac airport, and I think that's why it exists. And it's hard to tell that, yeah, we're really close to Seattle, in the middle of the Seattle area and close to an airport, because right here we just have bushes and water and stuff. We should be in Seattle in about 30 minutes. So we're coming into Seattle, and all you can see is, well, okay, now you can see more industrial district just south of downtown. And once I get out and walk around near the station, we'll be able to see a little bit more. I just got off the Amtrak Cascades for rest break in King Street Station, which is a very historic train station in Seattle, very beautiful, transit hub and all of that. Unfortunately, I can't go in because they said that if I go in, I have to then wait in line, and that always makes me feel a little weird. So I'm just walking up and down the platform to get some exercise, stretch my legs, then I'm going to go back on my train. Also, I did think, that the train would thin out after we got to Seattle, that a lot of the riders would be getting off here, and they were, but they also made an announcement that the train is full until Vancouver. It is Memorial Day weekend, so the train was full and will continue to be full. That's also why I don't have a lot of shots inside the train. Anyway, this is King Street Station. This is Seattle. There is obviously a lot more to see in Seattle, but my trip is not over. We will see some more.
No, I don't want any.
So the train, we're north of Seattle, close to Everett, I believe, and we're traveling along the Puget Sound. It's a very nice view, but hard to get a view of the view because the train's very packed.
We should go down. Oh, Mount Vernon. Oh, excuse me. Anyone else for Everett? Well, they told us since we have bikes that we should go.
No, come with me.
Yeah, you're going ahead then.
Thank you.
Thank you. Don't listen to me.
And that island in the distance is Hat Island. We're coming into Everett.
Right there.
This is Everett that we're coming into.
That's what we're on now.
Right now we are crossing the Snohomish River out of Everett, going north, and there's only one more stop and then one more stop, and that's my stop. So one stop between here and my stop. And it's been a fun day, but it has also been a long day. And we talk about this is not a long distance train, but I have started waiting for this train, waiting for the bus at 10 a.m. So it's been 9 hours I've been traveling. So everything is starting to be a blur.
Hey, we want to stand one in here. Stand one.
A lot of big flat alluvial plains where we're going through now. So this apparently is Stanwood. Stanwood's a pretty small town, which you can probably see, and I think Stanwood is the smallest station on the Amtrak Cascades line. And it's also really close, like there's only 15 miles to the next station, Mount Vernon. But this is the Stanwood station. Not much to see, especially with the light glare. And I'm going to go back to my seat and get my stuff ready because I'm getting off in 15 minutes. I got up early and I'm kind of waiting in the vestibule for this trip to end in about 5 more minutes. I just got off the train, the Amtrak Cascades, in Mount Vernon, Washington. The train crew were all very helpful and nice. I really liked the train. It's good to be, a long ride, so I'm glad to be off. And from here, there might actually even be buses still running, but I'm just going to walk to my hotel. I think it's like a mile because I need to stretch my legs. So one reason I chose Mount Vernon as my destination among others, I was actually born 1 or 2 blocks that way, and I'll talk more about that tomorrow. And even though I was born in Mount Vernon, I don't actually have much association with the place. But it does have a nice train station, and I am going to walk somewhere in this direction. I'll check my maps. And wow, that was a nice train ride. One thing about that train ride is, in my mind, I kind of think of the Pacific Northwest. We're all on a team. This is all the same. Anywhere between Eugene and Bellingham, that's just a little jaunt. But coming up here, especially when I went north of Seattle, an area I wasn't really familiar with, it does seem like I'm a little bit far from home in the city I was born in. And there's a lot to see. The Seattle area is very big. Oregon and Washington are very big. And so on this trip, I know I only showed little loops and parts like that. I don't know where I'm going. I'm walking around. And so hopefully this partial view still kind of gave a sense of what the train was like, what the train trip was like, and what the, what Oregon and Washington are like. Anyway, I'm kind of babbling, so see you more tomorrow.